Welcome back to Light the Fuse, the only Mission Impossible podcast that is washing its hands regularly and drinking plenty of water. Charles, you better be following this. Okay, good.
You know I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for part 2 of Michael Kaplan. This section, just looking at the notes, this section is even more insane than the first one, so that makes me very happy. And some big news with this one, finally getting to see the snow costumes.
Yes. That's our big reveal. We will be posting these pictures on our Instagram and Twitter and Reddit and Facebook. We see the costume tests for the snow sequence that was going to open Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. It was just one costume. It's on Paula Patton, and it's amazing.
We were blown away.
Yeah.
I could not believe he was showing us this.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it looked so cool, and you have to wonder when something like that'll happen. I know there was a snow battle at the end of Fallout, but to have a snowmobile chase would be really cool.
It would be great. I think it's probably no bad idea goes away, or no good idea, I should say, goes away in Mission Impossible. I'm sure they'll circle back, whenever they start filming again, which is still up in the air as of right now. It's looking like we'll still be inside for another couple months, so I don't know how that's affecting these movies, but whenever they start shooting, we can't wait, obviously. Do we have any other things to get through before we go into Michael Kaplan, Charles? Any notes? Any shout-outs? Anything?
No, that's it for me. I'm just excited for everybody to hear this.
Great. Well, then let's segue into Kevin's just criminal use of the plot theme, and then we'll be back afterwards to talk about what he said. You also are notable for surviving 2 Michael Bay productions. Got to do a lot of fun space stuff in Armageddon, and you got to do a lot of, as Alec Baldwin calls them in the movie, hula shirts for Pearl Harbor, which are great. You have any good Bay stories?
Probably not that I can share here, but I actually like Michael, and he's asked me to do a few of his Transformer movies, and I didn't do them. I turned them down because I didn't feel like there was a lot. He said, "Why won't you work with me?" And he said, are you angry at me? And I said, no, I kind of think you're pretty amazing. You're a wonderful director, and he can be really, really tough, and he was really tough on my crew, which I didn't like, but I would work with him again on the right project because
the script isn't right.
He's very talented, and I like working with talented people, and I'm not really afraid of getting yelled at, although he's not really yelled at me, but I just didn't feel there was a lot I could bring to Transformers that was exciting for me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we have to briefly at least touch on your very first movie, speaking of robots, which was Blade Runner.
Blade Runner was
not your first, but as a credited costume designer, right?
No.
No?
IMDb
is telling me differently. I know that you...
Can we correct it?
We can correct IMDb.
Yeah. Yep. But obviously one of the most iconic
The first
movies.
movie I ever got a film credit on as costume designer was a movie called Can't Stop the Music, starring Bruce Jenner,
The Village People,
Valerie Perrine,
The Village People.
all of them. Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
That milk sequence is insane.
I didn't do that. There were 3 costume designers on the movie. And
did you read the book about the producer? What's his name?
Alan Carr?
Yes.
I didn't need to read the book. I experienced the producer.
It's a fabulous book. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't really have too much to say about that.
Well, let's talk about Blade Runner.
That's why the movie's not on my resume, but
there you go.
It does now have such a cool factor that I think I might want to put it on my resume.
Yeah, I think you should embrace it.
Yeah, in retrospect, at the time, the producer whose name was Alan Carr wanted everything to be super sexy, and he wanted Bruce Jenner, who was this amazing Olympiad, who was so handsome, and had a beautiful body. He wanted him to kind of be, in his mind, very sexy, and so he said, I want him in short cutoffs, and let's show his stomach, like in a midriff cutoff T-shirt. And I said, this guy is a jock. He's not going to wear that, Alan. He said, trust me, he'll wear it. Like, I'll get him to wear it. If he gives you any trouble, just let me know, and I'll, he's doing a movie, and he's an actor, and he's being paid, and so, I will, help you get him to wear what I have in mind. And so I put the outfit in Bruce's room, and he comes out happily wearing it with no discussion.
That's great.
Tease of things to come, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. The famous story with Blade Runner is that you wanted to put him in a hat. And he said, I just came back from Raiders. I'm not wearing a hat again.
He didn't say Raiders.
Oh, he didn't? Okay.
No, he said I just wore a hat for months in my last movie, and I'm not wearing a hat. He doesn't like hats too much. And the film turned out to be Raiders. So it was kind of like the way he said it, and then when I saw the movie, I saw what he meant.
Yeah.
So it was like a punchline months later when the movie came out.
Nice. But you had I guess that sort of fits with the whole noir aspect of him wearing a hat, right?
Well, the reason I think I got the job was when they were out to different costume designers, they all heard it was futuristic, and so I was like this kid, and for them to kind of come to me was because Ridley had seen a lot of established costume designers who talked to him about Silver Mylar spacesuits and, and so it was when I read it, I thought, this is like a gumshoe. This is kind of like Sam Spade. Mm-hmm. And, it's a film noir. And so I started thinking of, all of Adrian's designs in the 30s and 40s and the kind of suits he did and the Humphrey Bogart characters, Maltese Falcon, and it just kind of read like that, and that's kind of what Ridley was thinking, and so that's how they took me on. Well, first they called the union and they said, is there anybody with, a different viewpoint, anybody young in the union, because he had met with a few people who were, I guess, quite older. I don't know who he was meeting with, and the woman who was the head of the union at that time said, well, our youngest member, why don't you meet with him? He's just gotten in and he just finished a film, which was Can't Stop the Music. So we had our meeting and I was taken on. So
wow.
Yeah.
Did you come back when I know they reshot some things for, was it the final cut? The scene where Zora gets killed in the glass and all that. Did you come back and supervise those costumes, or did they just put her in the same costume?
It was the same costume.
Oh, wow. It's pretty amazing she could fit. I mean, I don't think I could fit in something that I wore 30 years ago. That's amazing. But you weren't on set for any of that.
I don't... Oh, for the final cut? Years later?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't around. I didn't do that. They
Okay.
just copied what we had done. But I co-designed Blade Runner with Charles Node.
Okay.
And so he was used to working with a partner, and so but he didn't do the reshoots either.
I think they might have just pulled the costume. You know what I'm talking about?
No, the costume doesn't exist.
Oh, it doesn't exist.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I think they just had somebody come in and copy it.
Did you know when you were doing Blade Runner that it would be what it was? I mean, I know it didn't even have
It didn't
have the initial reaction, but did you think people would come back to it the way they have?
Well, I went to dailies every single day, which I don't usually do, but I just was so blown away by the look of it, and it was so exciting, to be working with Cronenweth and Ridley, and was wonderful being a part of that, and Charles Node, and
Right.
It was terrific.
Did they talk to you about coming back for the 2049?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't think I would have. I wouldn't have.
No.
Right.
No.
So you said
that was a beautiful, beautiful movie, but it didn't really kind of connect with the Blade Runner that I worked on.
Right.
It was a whole different film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said you liked to work with Cronenweth, and then you worked with Fincher, right? With Cronenweth's son.
Yes.
What was that like?
He was great, very talented.
Yeah.
So, I guess I don't know if I guess that's hereditary.
Well, getting back to Mission really quickly, I know we're running out of time. You showed us from your pre-production photos. We've heard about these, and we've talked about it on the show a lot. The snow sequence. So you had these snow suits designed for them. They looked really amazing. Was it just Paula Patton who was in the snow, or were there other characters too?
I think Benji was supposed to be in the snow. I don't really remember. It's all foggy to me. I should ask you guys.
Well, with your permission, we're going to post that photo of Paula Patton. There's a couple different designs of her that she's wearing the costumes.
Yeah.
And they look amazing. They almost even have like almost a slight like superhero vibe to them. And one of them in particular, it's like almost like a cape. It's kind of awesome looking. I mean, were you disappointed that sequence didn't end up coming to fruition?
No, things were. I'm kind of used to that. I can't really hold on to things. I remember doing a leopard dress for our lovely French actress
Leah Seydoux.
Leia,
sorry.
Yeah, and Brad, I didn't know, hated leopard, or he just.
Oh.
So you can't become attached to things, You have to just kind of let things go, and because films are like that. They have a life of their own, and whether it's logistics or weather or so many things, things change on a daily basis.
Speaking of that, we wanted to know. We know that Vanessa Redgrave was being courted to come back.
She was.
Did you design things for her?
No.
Okay.
No, she said no pretty quickly.
Oh, she did? Okay. Because we'd heard that they had pushed her scenes to the end of shooting so that
they were hoping
they'd get more time to try to get her.
Yeah.
But no. You got to dress the Fog instead. He was the
character's name.
That's the
was
character's
Fog.
name.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the sunglasses in the movie? They're for souls, mostly. And then you have Oakley goggles for him to go outside.
Mm-hmm.
And those Oakleys were custom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that and why Persol and was Tom into Tom's worn a lot of Persols throughout the years.
I love Persols.
Me too.
I love their history, and I loved they always seem like Italian movie star glasses to me. And I'm not wearing them now, but I've had my fair share of beautiful Persol glasses, and the quality is really good, and the history is nice, and I just really like them. And I don't remember if I usually like to the Oakleys came through the prop man, I believe. But when an actor is wearing something, I usually work very closely with props.
Okay.
So on watches, and I like to be there when the actor's kind of looking at all the watches or sunglasses, and I like to discuss with the prop man, the feeling that I want to elicit elicit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really recall why Persols, and I remember going to Oakley, and they're very accommodating in doing things for Tom or for other actors, and doing custom work, and so they're really easy and lovely to work with. So I think that's why the prop man wanted to go to them.
Nice.
And I think maybe Tom likes them also because he's used Oakley in the past.
Yeah. Used them in 2.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
The Hendrix suits. You said there's a pinstripe suit.
There's a pinstripe suit that wasn't in the movie, but is in the credit sequence from the scene where he's giving the monologue to himself. Do you remember this alternate opening?
No.
Okay. Well, there's an opening sequence where you think he's addressing like a hall of people, but he's just talking to himself.
Yes.
And that was the original opening of the movie. And he's got this great pinstripe, and it's not in the movie, but it's in the title sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you have any kind of what was the kind of character reason for that, or
and the white he's kind of white suits,
suit,
right?
Yeah.
Like, what was your thinking behind that?
Because he was in warm climates, tropical climates.
Okay. Is that a general rule you have for like if someone's in a warmer climate, you want to put them?
No, but it made sense here, and also you want to kind of give each actor their own kind of either color palette or feeling about them, and that just seemed right for him, for his character.
Do you have to adjust the suits for Tom in any way to be able to
Dubai,
run?
It's very hot. It just seems...
Yeah. Well, do you have to adjust it?
Mumbai.
Yeah, too. They were in hot climates, but Tom wears this great, like, kind of silvery blue suit in Dubai, and then he runs for about 10 minutes through this city. Do you have to, does he just run in your suits? Are you reinforcing them or making them out of materials that allow him to run easier?
Is there a running version?
Is there
of the
a running
suit?
version of the suit? There is a running
There is.
version of it, and it's made of different things.
It has different seams.
Okay.
Maybe elastic in the seams, or not made out of different fabric.
Okay.
Tom says that is his favorite suit that he's ever worn in any movie.
Wow.
It's a great suit.
Yeah.
It's that beautiful shade of blue, and it's mohair, and which is wool, but it breathes very nicely. So it's not too hot, and it doesn't crease, which was what I was thinking about more than anything, because he's in it so long. Tom has different clothes and different shoes for every situation, like for running and for climbing, and he's that specific. And so we were making his shoes, and then he has bigger shoes if he needs thicker socks, and he has shoes that are actually sneakers covered to look like the shoes that he wears in the rest of the scene. So for any given outfit, he might have actually, a lot. It's a lot of work for his dresser to kind of make sure he's in the right thing for the right moment and the right stunt. And there's different size suits for different kinds of stunt pads, But that's something we do for all actors when they're doing stunts. And then there's other suits for the actual stuntmen that might be a different size, and for their pads, and different size, if they have to wear knee pads, so the pants are cut differently for the knees. And so it's really specific. And because Tom is usually doing all of his own stunts, those provisions have to be made for him. So, he might have, like 40 different suits or something like that.
Wow.
Some for stunt doubles, some for photo doubles, for himself, and then lots of shoes.
Did you take the suit home?
I'm sure he has one of them.
Okay. If he loved it,
Yeah.
I would.
Did you do a Curtis Hanson movie?
Yes.
What was it like working with him?
It was a difficult movie.
Mm.
I don't know why. It's about the World Series of Poker.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Bana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eric Bana. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't. I don't think it turned out to be one of his great movies.
Right. I just didn't know if you had any stories about working with him and what he was like. Just a fan of his. That's all.
Yeah. He did good work.
Yeah.
Well, before we ask you for some important questions, we should ask about working with Brad Bird, because this was not only his first live action movie, but obviously huge.
Besides not liking Leopard.
Besides not liking Leopard. But that's,
what was it like
interesting
working
because and you say that, and there's a character in Incredibles that has almost leopard pattern on the whole
movie. Well, that made sense for her. I don't know why. Maybe that's why he didn't want Leia to wear leopard or something like that.
But what was it fun working with somebody with the animation background? There must be a lot of sort of similarities there in terms.
He was a very sweet man. Very kind of quiet. I know he loved doing crossword puzzles.
Now we know what to bring him the next time we see him.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Do you have a favorite actor or just an actor you just loved to dress?
Well, Brad and I have had, Brad Pitt and I have had some wonderful collaborations on, Seven and Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Fight Club and a lot of different photo sessions. One in which he was only wearing dresses.
Then you did that one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. I just found one of those dresses in my storage space, so.
Going to the academy?
No, that was in a magazine, and so I don't think the Academy would want that. It might go in the auction block.
Nice.
Oh, okay. All right.
You also worked on John Hughes' last film.
Curly Sue.
Yeah. Did you get the sense that he was packing it in, or?
No.
Okay.
No. I really liked John a lot. I was very intimidated when I first started working with him, and then kind of as the film went on, I would sit in a director's chair next to him, and we'd have these long conversations, and I was so glad to get to know him, on that film, and realize that he was just quiet. He wasn't really, a scary person,
Right.
No, he was a lovely man. I really, really liked him a lot, and very brilliant.
Another person gone too soon.
I know.
Yes.
Well, do you remember what you would talk about? I mean, it was just everything, life,
About
music,
everything,
maybe?
about everything, about the movie, about music, about Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a cool guy, and I really hung out a lot with Kelly Lynch.
Okay.
And I still see her. I saw her a couple weeks ago in a restaurant. I'm always running into Kelly and her husband Mitch Glazer in restaurants.
I heard Mitch Glazer told me the funniest story.
She's a terrific girl.
Well, he says that every time there's a movie with one of her sex scenes in it, he'll get a phone call from Bill Murray, and he'll say, "Turn on the TV, somebody's fucking your wife." Oh my God. So, I don't think I ever even published the story, but this was in it.
Mitch Glazer told you that?
Yes, he told me that, yeah. Yeah. It might have been Roadhouse specifically, like Swayze, turn on the TV, Swayze's fucking your wife.
Bill Murray said that?
Yeah.
We didn't have any of that in Curly Sue.
No. So for 5 seconds, let's each bring up a favorite costume.
Oh gosh, okay.
I already have mine locked and loaded if you want to go first.
How do I pick just one? Go ahead.
Okay. Snoke's disco robe in Star Wars The Last Jedi. Where did that come from? It's amazing. It's one of the most iconic pieces. My wife loves the Praetorian Guards, but I have to bring up the Snoke. Well, they're sort of all in the same
Scene,
yeah. So where did that come from?
I love the Praetorian Guards
They're amazing.
because the board, I do mood boards, and I knew there would have to be Praetorian Guards, and I wanted them to be red, and the director wanted them to be red. There was a lot of red in that film.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of thought, well, what would they look like, And I kept thinking about muscle cars. And then I kept thinking about samurai. And so I kind of took, it was almost like one from column A, one from column B, and, and I wanted them to kind of have this, also kind of be related to the early Praetorian Guards or the early guards from the earlier movies. And so, looking at everything together, they just kind of, I started doing sketches and putting all these elements together, parts of muscle cars and the shine and I like the fact that you couldn't see any humanity.
Yeah.
And wasn't sure how we were going to do that, like two-way glass. But then we put these little tiny slits so that they could easily see out. And they needed a lot of vision because they had these huge weapons and they needed to fight. Mm-hmm. But they also needed to move. And so when you have a drawing and then you hand it over to the people who are actually building them, I mean, it was quite a feat for that department to actually build them so that they had full range of motion from a drawing, but they look exactly like the drawing. And, I grew very attached to them. I love them.
I think that's everyone's favorite scene. I mean,
beautiful.
Did you design Snoke's? Because there is no costume really for him physically. It's all on the computer. But did you design that?
We made a real costume because there was a moment when somebody actually had to wear it.
Oh wow! So where did that gold disco vibe come from?
It was almost like gold leaf on this very rough-hewn fabric. Because I didn't want it to be slick. I wanted to feel like Star Wars, and I wanted to have that like hand woven quality. And to get that nubbiness, we made the robe first and then applied the the gold to it. But it wasn't paint. It was kind of like a gel that we laid on top, almost like gold leafing it.
It's an amazing outfit. Amazing scene. I think that's everybody's favorite scene from the new trilogy.
Great.
Yeah. All right, do you have your outfit picked up?
And then his arm gets cut off, and his arm is still sitting on.
That's right.
Still sitting on the throne chair, which I loved, with a ring on it.
Yeah. And he kind of slumps over it. Yeah.
And he had these, matching gold shoes. There was something very papal about it too.
Okay.
I feel like I brought up a lot of the costumes that I wanted to ask about, but I will bring up one that we haven't talked about, which is Will Smith in I Am Legend. Which he also has that, again, I would say that Michael Kaplan
it's
look.
It's not leather, it's oil skin.
Oh, wow, okay. But it looks, it's gorgeous. It's awesome. It looks badass
But
in that movie.
it is a strong look, and it does feel like leather. It might as well be leather.
Yeah. I think that movie is the first hour and 15 minutes of that movie is like perfect.
Years and years ago, Brad Pitt called me. I think it was probably 2010. So we had done Seven together, and we had done Fight Club together, and he said he had been thinking a lot, and would I be interested in doing a line of clothes with him? A very small line that would kind of maybe be influenced by the movies he's done, maybe be influenced by the way he liked to dress. It was a very loose concept. And I said, yeah, count me in. And I said, but doing a line of clothes is going to be... He said, we could have easily sold those 7 jackets, and we could have easily merchandised a lot of the clothes from Fight Club. And, I just did Ocean's 11, and there's clothes in that, some of the shirts and ties. And he said, it would be so great. And I said, well, why don't we call Jeffrey Kurland, who did, I said, also, if we're doing a line, it might be nice to have designers you've worked with or designers you will work with, so that no one person has to give up their career, because the line is going to take... So I said, why don't we have 3 designers, 3 costume designers do this line, and we can, revolve it. Anyway.
Did that happen?
It was about to happen, and 9/11 happened. And so, but Armani was going to produce it, and it had gone that far.
Wow.
We were about to have a meeting with Armani, and 9/11 happened, and, the world changed radically.
Yeah. That reminds me, I forgot. Actually, Brad Pitt designed or co-designed my wedding ring.
Really?
It was a ring that I think he had.
I remember that.
So I have the same
ring.
I forgot that Brad Pitt did that.
It's the one with the little...
Yeah, I'll show you.
Are there little
diamonds inside of the...
Yeah.
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 Well, we ask everybody this, and I think you're actually going to really give us some good answers on the first question, which is, we would love you to rank Tom Cruise's hairstyles in the Mission Impossible movies. So he's had 6 hairstyles. Maybe you can just talk about your favorites. We've kind of been boiling it down. Are you a short hair guy, a long hair guy?
I always like Tom with longer hair. I think he has great hair, and I always like, a few, pieces hanging in his face, and he can always push it back. But it's nicer when it's longer because it has, it moves and it has someplace to go, and he's always doing so much action that I think it just frames his face better also.
Yeah.
But, if you got it, flaunt it.
Yeah, the hair in Ghost Protocol too is really nicely shaped. It's got a nice,
Yeah.
So first of all, have you seen all the Mission Impossible movies?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to rank them, or do you want to talk about maybe your top 3 favorites?
Well, I love the one I did, not just because I did it, but I love the Dubai sequences, but probably not my favorite. To watch.
Okay.
I think maybe the last one was my favorite.
Okay. Fallout. All right.
He's got that great...
I like the first one.
He was going to say, in the first one, he's got kind of a leather jacket in that one, right?
Yeah.
Over the sweater. Did you like that
Well, I
look?
didn't do it,
I know
so
you didn't do
notice.
it,
I don't notice things I don't do.
I just didn't know if you were a fan of that look at all, when you saw it.
Well, I know it's like indelible in your mind, but I would need to look at it again to rank it.
When you watch movies, do you notice costumes a lot? Like, is that
of course.
You zero in on that?
Of course. To the point where if it's a period movie and the costumes are not done correctly, it kind of takes me out of the movie. Because I take so much of what I'm shown as gospel. And if I'm looking at a movie that's, 19th century and there's something that's 20th century by mistake, or whatever, it kind of is so glaring to me that, I don't know if it's intentional. And so, it gives me pause.
Right. Feels wrong.
Yeah. Well, I kind of don't know that it's a mistake until, I kind of assume that they're doing it for a reason.
Right.
Other than, fallibility.
Right.
Do you know what your next project is?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, I think by the time this comes out, the Skywalker Blu-ray will be out, so we can tell everybody to go get that. Love the Poe's scarf in that one. You like, his jacket's a little different. Finn's jacket's a little different in Skywalker, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of great costumes.
His whole costume's a bit different.
But he has the leather coat on jacket. That's another leather coat.
Yep.
God damn, Michael Kaplan, you and your leather coats.
Yeah. Hose and leather pants.
Oh, he wears leather.
Oh, really?
Yes, I wanted him to be sexier and more swashbuckling.
Okay. I like that.
Oscar.
Yeah, he looks great.
Yeah, Oscar's always sexy and swashbuckling.
I love Oscar. He's great.
He's the best.
He's so talented.
Well, it's been a true thrill to get you to talk to us. So we just want to thank you for accepting this mission.
Thank you so much.
It's hard for this one to end, Charles. I gotta say.
Yeah.
Wish there was a part 3, but we clearly monopolized way too much of his time as is.
Yeah. It was. It was such a pleasure talking with him, and it blows my mind that he hasn't been nominated for an Oscar. That's absolutely just the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, the list of movies this guy has worked on, it's insane.
Yeah, I thought this chat was really amazing. This is one of my favorite interviews we've ever done. And he's one of the most talented people we've talked to, which is really saying something. And
you were probably really excited to hear about that Last Jedi disco robe.
I really was. I love how he was just like, yeah, that's what we had to do. And I forgot about, you think that since Snoke is, CGI, that there wasn't anything on set, but he dressed this creature on set too, which is so cool.
Yeah.
And when you think back to it, oh yes, there was, after he's like dismembered, he's just lying there on the ground. So it's just so cool. I mean, a man who has made so many cool jackets in movies. We talked about it last week. Just his leather jackets are so cool. Yeah. I loved hearing about his favorite crew's haircut. I thought that was great. Yeah. Yeah. This entire conversation was just a dream. And, was this our last one before everything shut down too? Yeah, basically this is our last in-person interview, and then from we've been doing so many great Skype interviews since then, but this was the last one before the lockdown. I also want his line of clothes to happen. The line, they were talking about how they were going to do a clothing line, and it was going to be him, and it was also going to be Jeffrey Kurland, happened to do the costumes for Mission Impossible Fallout. And he's also done the Ocean's movie, he did Ocean's 11, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, if they did a clothing line, oh my God, that would be so cool.
Yeah, we gotta have that happen.
Yeah,
we need that. We need it.
And again, check out the costume test for Paula Patton in the snow sequence, because that's really cool. We posted that online. You can check that out. It's really we were just blown away when we saw that.
Yeah, that was literally like That was like one of our holy grails, I feel like, of things.
Yeah.
That we wish we could see, and it was like, oh my God, it came so close.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, do we even know who's coming up next on the show?
I don't know. It kind of depends on what happens with the 100th, I think.
Okay.
I know that we need to do our video games episode, and maybe that'll be next, because we kind of need to do a one-off for episode 99, and then episode 100 will be something special. So we'll see what's coming up, but we have a ton of amazing interviews coming up, and you'll be thrilled to hear some of the people we talked to.
Yeah, we're basically through like August or something at this point, aren't we?
Yeah, we've gathered so many interviews that we're going to be set for months. And again, help us on the Patreon, because we don't have to split it up into so many parts if we get more monthly income from the Patreon to pay for this. So please help us out on the Patreon. That's patreon.com/LightTheFuse. And there are multiple tiers on there, so you can be in the field agent tier, and it's only $1 a month, which every dollar counts. It helps. That you just get a thank you on our website, and then if you do the mission commander level, which is our favorite, of course, for Mission Commander Swanbeck, that's $5.95 a month, and you get your name on the website as a thank you, and then you also get all our exclusive bonus content. So you have, we did commentaries for all 6 movies. We've got bonus episodes about the latest news about MI7, and we've got sneak peeks at upcoming interviews. We do all kinds of. We did a tribute to Stuart Gordon recently. We did a tribute to Hunt for October for the 30th anniversary of that movie. We're going to review Jeremy Renner's album. I mean, we do all kinds of fun stuff on there that you will appreciate. And there's extended versions of interviews. I know there was a talk we did with Kendra James and Patrick Willems. That full conversation is on our Patreon. So I mean, that's all the stuff you get for bonus content if you sign up for the Mission Commander level. Just try it out for a month, $5.95, and if you feel like you're enjoying it, then you can keep going, or you can unsubscribe at that point if you don't feel like it's worth it. And then there's also the Operations Manager level, which is $10.95 a month, and that you get to join us once a month for a Skype chat. We always end up talking about all the upcoming episodes. You can ask us questions, and that's a fun thing to do. And then there's the IMF Director level, which is $15.95 a month, and that's when we personally thank you once a month on an episode. And then, of course, there's the IMF Secretary level, which is $60 a month. But, we say that every episode is brought to you by, and that's our beloved Jeremy Dillon, who is helping us so much make this podcast possible. So, yes, this episode is brought to you by Jeremy Dillon, who is our savior. And if you're IMF Secretary, you get that, and you get all the other perks too. You get all the bonus content, you get all that stuff. So, of course, we named these levels after our beloved middle management bosses at the IMF, since there are so many of them: Mission Commander, Operations Manager, IMF Director, and IMF Secretary. So, check out the Patreon if you can, patreon.com/LightTheFuse. We would love it if you helped us out there. And if that's not something that interests you, you can help us by buying a t-shirt or a coffee mug or a laptop case or whatever from our TeePublic page, which is linked from our website. So if you go to lightthefusepodcast.com, there's a merch section, and then there you can see some of our merchandise, and you can click on the link to get to our TeePublic page.
That was beautiful, Charles.
Thank you.
What an impassioned speech. I love it.
That's my sales pitch.
I love it. I mean, honestly, we have you to thank and to blame for the incredibly high quality audio editorially of these episodes. So it's all you. And I mean, I think you're really the quality control master on these. And it just
kind of me?
Yes,
about me?
Yes, you.
Oh, thank you.
If I was in charge, it would sound like, I don't know, like I left my iPhone on and I'm talking from across the room, but we are committed to it sounding good, for it to be well edited, and we can't do any of that without you guys supporting us. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And next week we'll be back. Who knows what will come next week, but we will be back next week. So until then, bye.
Thanks
Thanks again for listening, everyone. And before we go, another mission, should you choose to accept it. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. And remember that you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LightTheFusePod, and email us questions or comments at lightthefusepodcasts@gmail.com. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.